Bentley came out last week. Some of the strongest evidence came from this woman. An incredible video coming into our newsroom this morning from South Korea. We know about a half hour ago the lights came back on in Gurley, so this is the orange area where you can see most of the power outages. Now, first alert on breaking news out of Charlottesville, Virginia. A federal civil rights investigation is now open. One American Airlines flight going to Washington, D.C. this morning. And to that breaking overnight news in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a story we've been tracking for you since it broke last September. Hundreds at the University of Virginia turned into a violent brawl. Hospitals are reporting a huge spike in deaths. An eye exam would not only solve the problem, but save her life. One big question on people's mind this morning: was this all a hoax or just an honest mistake? The county that this happened in, and it's right outside of Denver where you see the flashing red here. A face you're probably familiar with now, Tad Cummins, the Tennessee teacher who ran away with a 15-year-old student, prompting a nationwide manhunt. Jake Barrett joins us now live. Jake, the sheriff says the law is on her side in this. Another one of the men grabs a second clerk and holds her at gunpoint. Thank you for waking up with us. Kat Campbell has your Saturday forecast to let us know what we need to be maybe dodging today.
Right now I am in the Thunderbird F-16 with my pilot Wolf. We're about to pull some G's. It's going to let us know when we're ready to go.
You're like really focused on breathing, the technique that they teach you and everything before the flight. It's a pretty awesome experience. It happened to one British woman visiting Australia, and thanks to social media, she's actually getting it back.
In a Cessna 172 right now. This is one of the planes that you could be flying in if you take lessons at Redstone Arsenal.
If you're looking to improve your job interviewing skills, a workshop is happening today in Huntsville. We do have some information for you about who these candidates are, and we do also have links to each of their websites. Some areas seeing rain today, but obviously the temperatures are way warmer than they were last week. Beth, thank you so much for coming and showing us Sadie. So tell us a little bit about her temperament. Jermaine Funny Mane Johnson, we're actually going live on WAFF 48 Facebook page just a few minutes.
This is just experiencing what normal bomb technicians have to do on a daily basis.
A man and a woman walk into a store. Well, it sounds like the beginning of a joke, but if you're a woman, the joke could be on you. The fact is, women are paying more for everyday items. It's being called the pink tax or the woman tax. I decided to do some digging to find out if this gender pricing makes sense.
It's the battle of the sexes, but when it comes to consumer products, women are losing.
There are differences, and that we should be more discriminating purchasers.
After taking a look at everyday items like razors, deodorant, hair products, and body care, from toys labeled for girls, for boys, to just taking in your shirt to be dry cleaned, I realized gender pricing is everywhere. The price gap between women's products and men's can be found at most every store. At Walgreens, I found a pack of Schick Hydro 5 razor refills were priced at $14.99. But when slapped with the label for women, the price went up to $18.49. Walking through the hygiene product aisle at Publix, I found a product I use on a regular basis, Cetaphil Daily Moisturizer. The regular, $16.69. But just a few bottles down, a daily face lotion for men at $12.99. A $4 difference. When flipped over, all active and non-active ingredients, the exact same. Shira Gans is an author and researcher of From Cradle to Cane, The Cost of Being a Female Consumer, a study on gender pricing in New York City.
One of the things that we noticed was just a consistent and what seems to be systemic charging of women more for similar products. We looked at nearly 800 products across 5 industries. And what we found was really startling. 42% of the time, women were charged more compared to men who were charged more 18% of the time.
So I went to the people setting those prices, reached out to the retail companies to ask that one simple question: why? Some of them, Walgreens, Schick, and Cetaphil, gave no response to the question. Target provided a statement by email saying a difference in price can be related to production costs or other factors. Just what those factors are for items that are exactly the same remains a mystery. Or does it?
The objective of a company is to make a profit.
Another money mystery: dry cleaning. Why does a man's shirt and a woman's shirt, made from the same fabric and same style, have different prices? We took a man's shirt and a woman's shirt to 2 separate dry cleaners, had the same things done to both, and check out the price. We have a man's shirt, 100% cotton, $2 to launder and just put on a machine apparently. But for a women's shirt, 100% cotton as well, $4.50 because they had to, quote, hand press it. I put in a call to 6 separate dry cleaners around the Tennessee Valley. All women's shirts were priced higher than men's. When asked why, they all gave an answer similar to this.
Why would they be different prices?
It's kind of simple because we have a machine for the men's, because men's shirts are mostly, their shapes are mostly same, so they're a little bit bigger sizes, but we can adjust that one. So we can press in the machine, but there is no machine for the woman's. So woman's blouse has to be pressed by hand. It takes a long time.
Elizabeth Grauerholtz is a professor at University of Central Florida. She was the advisor for research and collaborator in a study done in 2006 called The Cost of Doing Femininity, Gender Disparities in Pricing of Personal Care Products and Services.
It just shows one more way that it costs women a lot to live and operate in a society today, in the workplace in particular. In addition to making lower incomes, they also then have to pay higher prices to do their jobs and to be out in the world.
But what can you do about it? How can you avoid this pink tax? Laura Kerner is a professor of marketing at Athens State.
The consumer speaks, and I think if the public knows, and if the public is willing to not purchase, that's the biggest clout that a consumer has, is just not to buy.
Stuart Welch is a finance expert and the founder of the Welch Group, and explained,
if you are a smart shopper, you can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year on things that you tend to buy and purchase every day.
I've been working on this story for weeks now, and what I've shown you here in this report is only some of what I've uncovered. To see even more and arm yourself with strategies to avoid gender pricing, go to WAFF.com and click on this story. Stephanie Mills, WAFF 48.
It's just she got to where she didn't even want to go anymore at all. She'd wake up in the morning, she'd cry. She didn't want to even go.
Brandy Dumas lives in Huntsville and is a mother of 2, 8-year-old Val and 5-year-old Lily. 2 years ago, Dumas says Val was a victim of bullying.
Picking at her and calling her names and not wanting to play with her. And so she told me sometimes she would hide out under the slide because she didn't want nobody to mess with her.
Recess and everything, it was awful.
When Val went to the teacher, she said the teacher acted like she didn't care.
Every time it was just, well, that's okay, recess is almost over.
I was asking her, well, what's the matter? And she said that everybody hated her.
Dumas took the issue up with the teacher, but Dumas says the teacher did nothing to help. That's when she decided to take Val out of the school and out of the situation.
We go through Alabama Virtual Academy. I decided that was the best thing. She gets to spend time with me, and I get to make sure she gets the one-on-one attention.
Dr. Kenneth Sullivan is a psychologist at the Hearth in Huntsville who speaks with kids who deal with bullying.
It doesn't help toughen kids up. It leads kids to notice that a lot of times when they need help from people that are ganging up on them, that nobody's brave enough to help them.
Dr. Sullivan and Dumas stress the importance of anti-bullying programs in schools.
Know that it's a major issue because it can give a child major self-esteem issues later on in life.
If the main issue is the kids want to join with the group that's doing it, if we can create a larger group, preferably a more popular group, the group that everybody wants to be in, that doesn't bully, we can knock it back by having a culture in the school where it's popular to not bully.
I called every school district in northern Alabama to find out what they do to prevent bullying in their schools. I'm waiting to hear back from some of them. What I did find out from some districts is now up on our app and WAFF.com. Stephanie Mills for WAFF 48 News. As I reported in April, the horse owners only had 3 months to get their things together and move out of the Saddle Club. There's been a lot of pushback since the sudden announcement of that tight deadline. Now we know today the owners have been given an extension, another 3 months.
The Garrison sent me a statement saying they've given horse owners until October 31st to, quote, provide owners additional time and flexibility to transition, end quote. This has obviously alleviated some concerns for owners as they're trying to find new locations to board their horses. But I'm told the situation isn't completely resolved. The Garrison commander, Colonel Thomas Holliday, has assigned a liaison to meet with members of the club to hear their concerns and see what can be done to make this as smooth as possible.
I've reached out to some of the horse owners, and they did tell me they're waiting on documents they requested from the garrison, like barn inspection and structural reports. As far as new homes for the horses, I was told there is one local Army veteran offering his land, but there are financial constraints, and also it won't be able to hold all of the horses that need a new home. I have contact information under the Redstone Report on our app if you'd like to help out. I'm Stephanie Mills for WAFF 48 News. The liaison, Robert Schuman, told me the documents requested by the horse owners will soon be in their hands. Those are the structural reports of the condemned barns and the monthly inspection reports. Schuman also said since the buildings have been condemned, they had the owners close off the stables to the horses. They had the animals out in the pasture all day long. Well, now they are allowing the horses to stay in the paddocks, which are connected to the stables with cover, but they'll still be kept safe out of those stables.
The garrison commander's primary responsibility is the safety of the workforce and the patrons on Redstone Arsenal. He is not going to let someone get hurt in one of those buildings, not on his watch. Obviously, the perfect outcome is every horse is resettled in a new location safely. And that's what both sides, that's what we all want. We all want these horses happy and healthy.
Well, I first alerted you in April when the garrison announced the closure of the stables. The owners were given a very tight deadline of only a few months. Now they've extended that closure out another 3 months to October 31st. One horse owner says they're very happy to be given more time.
The garrison has kind of looked and said, yeah, we may have stepped a little too fast, too far, and they've kind of backed up and they've kind of realized, yeah, these horses are important to these people. They're like their children, and they're trying to help us, so which is good, real good.
In the meantime, many of the owners are still scouring for new homes for their horses. One local Army veteran saw their situation on local TV and wanted to help out. Now he's being regarded by some of the horse owners as a miracle worker. I'll have that story for you tomorrow at 4 with your Redstone Report. I'm Stephanie Mills, WAFF 48 News.
It started with a tornado siren, and Redstone Arsenal emergency crews sprang into action. This year's full-scale installation emergency exercise was all about dealing with a natural disaster like a tornado if one hits Redstone.
In the event that a tornado does impact, there's certain response mechanisms that we're going to employ to assist in recovery and response to a tornado event.
Those mechanisms Dan Huber, an exercise operation controller, mentioned are things like bringing in other emergency response agencies such as HEMC, police, and fire to help out. The exercise took place in one of the neighborhoods on Redstone. They put trees, power lines, even brought in a junk car and smashed it with a pole, all to simulate a situation they might find when a tornado blows through. Firefighters had to work through the debris along the road, cutting up trees, moving the poles out of the way so they can get to the volunteers at the end of the road.
And another part of today's exercise was coming here today and treating those injured from this natural disaster.
One of the firefighters said that they treated this event as if a tornado actually came through Redstone.
We had a little trouble accessing the patients at first, but that was part of the incident, and that could definitely happen in real life as well. So we've actually done a pretty good job getting over here as quick as possible and getting these patients triaged.
You're going to have to learn how to assess the situation and deal with all these types of events that take place that's unprepared, but you understand going into these, unpredictability is one of the things you just don't know. We have a casualty that's hanging from one of the trees right now. That's just something you just don't normally see on a day-to-day activity, and you got to respond to that.
Stephanie Mills, WAFF 48 News.
Lieutenant Petrosino.
A piercing tone to remember those who paid with their lives to protect our country. Bomb technicians and law enforcement from all parts of the United States converged onto Redstone Arsenal's FBI Hazardous Devices School, a memorial service to honor the 15 bomb technicians who died in the line of duty over the years.
Lieutenant Galvin. It's a time for me to remember those who lost their lives and gave the ultimate sacrifice, and to remember why I'm here and teaching my knowledge, and all the other instructors here teaching their knowledge to the new techs coming.
It definitely reaffirms my commitment to serve. We have a responsibility to them, to the future, and to ourselves to just keep their memory alive.
Their names etched onto plaques on the Bomb Tech Memorial Wall, with one empty plaque serving as a reminder to each student.
We have an empty plaque on that wall, and we want to keep it empty. So to make sure what we're doing is right, is correct, and we work hard every day to keep these students that go out and be public safety bomb techs safe in their communities.
The memorial held on Peace Officer Memorial Day and the start of National Police Week, marking their commitment to serve in their own community.
There's more to this job than just a badge and a gun. There's a long line of people who have served and sacrificed through the years, you know, to keep our community safe and to represent just a certain standard of justice and equality and, you know, just fairness for everyone.
And taking with them the memory of those who held up that standard to the very end. Stephanie Mills, WAFF